Welcome to Assay TV. I'm Leo Stemp, and today I'm in Cape Town at the One-to-One Mining Investment Conference with George Bennett, who is the CEO of Rainbow Rare Earths, Africa's only producer of rare earth elements. George, good to see you.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about your project in Burundi?
So Rainbow is a rare earth project in Burundi. It started trial mining about 18 months ago. So that's quite correct what you say, whereas we're only producing rare earth mine in Africa. But they've been doing what I call commercial trial mining. We've mined about 2,000 tons of concentrate, which we successfully shipped to China through a contract with ThyssenKrupp. We are very lucky that we produce one of the highest grade concentrates in the world. So our rare earth concentrate, when we produce it in Burundi, is running at between 52 and 58% TREO, which stands for total rare earth oxides. As I said, we've got very good mineralogy in our project, which also is a very big positive for Rainbow. The reason why I say that is that when we mine our material, we free dig it, so it's very cheap mining cost. And we basically then just crush it and put it through a couple of screens with a cyclone, and we produce with gravity a beautiful rare earth concentrate. Now, to give you an idea, a lot of other rare earth producers around the world, before they get to a concentrate, they have to do far more processing steps, which in other words, they have to mill, very expensive, use lots of power. They have to go to a flotation circuit, also more equipment, more machinery, more power, and very importantly, more reagents. They use reagents to get their concentrate. We have a very clean concentrate with no reagents in it.
So the shorter process and the lack of reagents, does that make the permitting process easier as well?
Well, it just means that we don't have any environmental issues. And if you're looking at our project from a project that's helping solve the green revolution, you know, with emissions around the world being at record levels and everyone trying to reduce these emissions through electric vehicles, wind turbine power, we certainly qualify because we don't have any reagents. We've got a very clean product, a green product, and also very importantly, very, very low levels of radioactivity in our product. A big problem with rare earth projects is that levels of radiation that come with rare earth projects generally. But we've got what they call parts per million. We've got 14 parts per million of uranium in our product and 28 parts per million of thorium. Now, to the average man in the street, you might not understand what that means. Basically, your microwave oven in your kitchen's got more radioactivity than our material has.
Fantastic.
So very safe.
Because many rare earth projects come unstuck because of the environmental risk.
And that's a big problem with lots of the rare earth producers in China, where they are having huge environmental problems. And as I said, we don't have any of that radioactivity. We don't have any of that acid water that is associated with their processes. So we're quite fortunate. And
which of the rare earths are you producing?
Well, we're producing all 17 in our basket, but very importantly, our basket's got about 19.5% of praseodymium and neodymium, which makes up 80% of the value of the basket.
And so those are the elements that are used in permanent magnets?
Correct.
E-vehicles.
So permanent magnets are critical in driving this green revolution of electric vehicles, drones, wind turbine power, which is very, very big on most governments at the moment, Western governments, the US, Chinese government, putting a lot more into wind turbine power for green energy. And each wind turbine, 3 megawatt wind turbine, it's like 650 kilograms of rare earth elements alone.
Wow.
So each of those wind turbines. And if it's a 5 megawatt drive, talking about a ton of rare earths per turbine. So this is going to lead to huge demand and huge supply imbalance, we believe.
What is the current supply-demand balance for those two metals in particular?
Well, total production at the moment for neodymium and praseodymium is running at 40,000 tons per annum. Just the electric vehicle demand between now and 2025 is going to see those vehicles use all that production plus another 20,000 tons.
And that doesn't even take into account wind turbines?
It doesn't take into account wind turbines, cell phones, drones, electric scooters, you name it, all need these permanent magnets.
So what are your plans for ramping up production next? You've done a bit of trial mining?
Yeah, so we've been successfully proving that we can mine this deposit from various areas. It's a very big area, 40 square kilometers. Very importantly, we've got 30 targets. Each of those targets are mineralized with rare earths, over 1,000 occurrences of rare earth elements in those targets. And also, very importantly, we've got 7 historical Belgian mines. So the Belgians mined this area in the 60s and 70s. And in Africa, over the last 30 years, all modern mines, 9 out of 10 modern mines, have all been built on historical mines, colonial historical mines. So we've got 7 of them, which is a very, very good indication of the prospectivity of our area. And secondly, we've just drilled a deposit a year ago, which we are busy doing a JORC resource. So that JORC resource we anticipate will be out at the end of March, and it's targeting my first target production level of 10,000 tons per annum of concentrate for a minimum of 10-year life of mine, because that's what I need to do a bankable feasibility study. But this deposit is still open at depth and it's along strike. By August, we will expect to expand that deposit as well as expand the mine life. And then I've still got 29 other targets that we haven't even touched yet. So this is a very, very big mineralized system.
And how are you funding this all?
Well, at the moment it's been equity funded. Once I've done a bankable feasibility study, there'll be no problem with getting project finance and debt funding. But in the short term, to take it through the bankable feasibility study, I do need a little bit of more funding from an equity point of view, which we'll be doing shortly.
And Burundi as a place for doing business?
Well, Burundi has been very good so far. I've only been there for 5 months since I've taken over, but access is very easy. It's we're 35 minutes outside of the capital on the tar road to our process plant, and you then turn into the hills, and we are 20 kilometers into the hills, which in terms of logistics is a walk in the park for Africa. I've built 22 mines throughout Africa and done over 100 feasibility studies in the last business I listed in London, which was MDM Engineering. I once built a mine across the lake in the Congo, which was 430 kilometers. I had to cut through the jungle, a road through the jungle. So this, by comparison, is very, very simple, very easy.
So you have a lot of experience building mines in Africa. The rest of your management team and your board, similar story?
Yeah, so my technical director, he was with me in my last company. He's designed over 200 process plants throughout Africa, across every mineral you can think of, and well over 80 of those process plants have been successfully built and always met their nameplate production. Well, in fact, they exceeded nameplate production.
And your chairman is Adonis Peroulis,
correct,
who obviously has lots of experience.
He's a very experienced mining entrepreneur with lots of success in the mining space. So I think we've got a good team to take this project forward. And as I said, in Burundi, politically, it's also a very important question, what's happening there politically. They're coming up for elections in May, I think it is. And of course, very importantly, was whether the president was going to step down or try and stand the third term. Fortunately, last week he's agreed to a package with the EU that they'll look after him, pay him a salary for life, and he's already named the successor and he won't be standing again. So it looks like we're in for a nice, peaceful transition of power in Burundi.
So investors often like to see management skin in the game. In your management team, big management ownership?
So between Adonis and myself, we're the 2 largest shareholders in Rainbow, and we control about 30% of this business, 28 to 30%. And the rest of my management team have about another 14-15% of this company. So we have a large management stake in this business.
You're very committed to the business.
Correct.
And where are you listed?
We're listed on the main board in London.
And your stock code is?
Is RBW.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And
where can people go to find out more information about Rainbow?
Well, our latest presentation here in Cape Town will be on our website, and of course, in our financial statements. But that is historical. We have embarked on a new growth curve, and with a very different approach to this project, using all the experience I'm bringing to bear. Also listed 2 gold exploration businesses in my time, one in Australia, one in London. So I've also got that exploration background, which I can bring to the party.
And then the key catalysts that investors should be looking for over the next few months?
Should be our JORC resource statement coming out the end of March. That's our target date, which will give us our targeted initial target production level, and also confirming that we're in a big system with what I believe is lots of blue sky.
So a lot more drilling ahead, a lot more news flow?
There will be more drilling ahead, more news flow, increasing the resource, increasing the mine life, and also increasing our production in country on the trial basis before I build the expanded plant.
Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us today, and good luck with all the exploration you have ahead.
Thank you. Cheers.